when it wants to, which very well could be between the time Obama is elected and the time he is sworn in. We have a lot of work to do. I think it's very important that we keep up the pressure on 9/11 in order to give whatever perpetrators are out there the fear that if they try something similar again, this time we will be watching and we will catch them red-handed.
Yep.
So we're trying to deter another false flag attack.
The news reports, at least in the alternative and internet press, give the impression that troops in the Mideast are coming back with an education and are paying a good deal of attention to these issues. Do you feel that those military, those with military experience coming back now have some readiness for this kind of assessment of the events that are happening around them?
A lot of them are. We know, I mean, we have a vibrant organization, Iraq Veterans Against the War. There probably are still a lot of brainwashed troops over there. I mean, we see them behind President Bush at every photo op, you know, cheering away. And the thing that bothers me about that is it's liable to cause the same kind of anti-military feeling that we had when we came home from Vietnam. And we're trying to avoid that this time and make it clear that we're not against the troops, we're against the policies that sent them over there. I really object to the troops being used in those photo ops. But I don't know, the troops who are out there doing the dirty work, I think they've seen enough that they know there's something wrong. Troops that spend all their time on our big permanent military bases over there with golf courses and swimming pools and SUVs and car dealerships, and I mean they're cities. We have 14 cities over there and about 160 bases in all, but about 14 of them are so large they're really small cities. And the people in there, except for an occasional rocket perhaps, are essentially isolated from the war. And one of the battles that we have is to make sure that there is no permanent occupation.
Yeah, it's something that Rumsfeld has been quoted as saying that really it concerns me, only because of the inevitability of it. But he was being questioned about our national security, and he said something to the effect that in order for there to be a quote-unquote correction, we would probably need another terrorist attack. Something to that effect. And so it makes me feel more that this was a conspiracy from the very beginning. If someone like that could say something, I mean,
Newt Gingrich has been going around since the Supreme Court ruled against the FISA, not against the FISA Act, but I guess for some sort of Fourth Amendment protections, ruled against kind of the powers that be. Newt Gingrich has been going around and saying just because of that, that could cost us an American city as in a nuclear event.
They ruled in favor of habeas corpus rights, right for detainees.
That's right, and Newt says, oh, now that we might be going back towards the Constitution, that could cause terrorists to nuke one of our cities.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's the propaganda that we heard.
That's the kind of talk.
How many people on 9/11 watching it that day said that it was going to happen? They warned us it could happen. I know I did, because they fed us that propaganda leading up to the attack. They could do the same thing with Iran. They're letting us believe that Iran is going to be the next terrorist rogue nation to attack us within our own borders. So when it happens, 90% of the sheeple in America will stand there and say the same thing. Oh, they said it could happen.
They must be
And
psychic.
that's why the work that you guys are doing on 9/11 Truth is so important. You have to get it across to as many of the American people as possible that if it happens, it doesn't mean it was an error.
Right,
You know,
Right.
think twice.
yeah.
I'd like to make a comment on your words when you stated that perhaps all of this conspiracy of 9/11 and everything that's ensued as far as U.S. foreign policy is concerned was staged for very valid reasons by the neocons and others. I just finished reading The Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski, Carter's National Security Chief.
Yep.
And in that treatise, in that book, he makes the comment that South Asia, in that entire rim, the underbelly of Russia, from the Mideast all the way to Pakistan and Afghanistan, is the grand chessboard. That's where the big powers are going to play. And he said that the American people are not imperial by nature, that it would take a Pearl Harbor type of, now this was done in 1996.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay?
right.
What my point is that the neocons and PNAC picked up on this, brought it into U.S. defense policy positioning papers. And I'll even go further. I just finished reading Webster Topley's latest book on Obama.
Yeah.
And his national security mentor is this
Big
man.
new Virginia.
Oh, my
Then,
God.
So people better watch this.
We better.
All right. So, you had a question, sorry.
Yes, I'm just going to ask you if, in your experience outside of the United States, and I don't know how extensive that may be in recent years relative to 9/11, but if you've had experience traveling outside of the United States or in conversation or in exchange of any sort with leadership outside the United States,
Yes.
any insight from their point of view on 9/11 and the events following? I'm very curious as to how the world is looking at the United States and whether another false flag event would trigger the rest of the world or anything like that. I'm very curious about that.
Well, my impression is that overseas, the general attitude of the people on the street is, well, of course it was a false flag attack. Of course it was an inside job. There have been isolated legislators, parliamentarians in other countries who have come out strongly for a new 9/11 investigation. One of them is Yukihisa Fujita, and I spent several days with him in Australia. And we stayed at the same house and ate together and sat on the patio and drank together until all hours of the night.